Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at 7 Ghosts. 7 Ghosts is brought to you by Buddy Pal Games. It's for ages 9 and up, it plays in about 20 to 30 minutes, give or take, and it's for 2 players. That's right, this is a head-to-head battle to see who can capture 7 ghosts first. Now, as the title suggests, the object of this game is to be the first player to capture 7 ghosts. And you'll find ghosts not only in the main deck, but also in the action deck. So there's multiple ways to capture them. Can you be the ultimate ghost hunter using strategy and a little luck? Now, setup is very quick and easy for this game. You're going to take the main deck of cards. You're going to shuffle them up and create 4 piles. Now, it's important to note that within those 4 piles, you're going to take the double ghost card, and it gets shuffled in randomly into the first 12 that are dealt. Now, the first 3 decks, you take the top card and flip it over face up. The last deck is known as the mystery deck, and these cards will remain a secret and face down until played. Now, you'll take the dice and put them in reach to both players. Then the spooky action deck. I love the name of that deck, spooky action. You're going to take that deck and shuffle it up, and each player receives 1 card to start. Now, gameplay is very straightforward and easy. However, it might be deceptively easy because there's a lot of strategies and a lot of action cards and different card combos that can really sway and change the game. But really, on your turn, you're just doing a couple things. You're looking at the cards that are available. You're going to say, I'm going for the pumpkins. You're going to look at the symbols on the pumpkin, and you're going to say, okay, I'm taking the dice, I'm going to roll them and try to match those symbols. And you do get 1 reroll in an effort to do so. And that's really what you're doing on your turn. And if you do capture that card, you grab it and put it in front of you on the table. It's played face up. And that's really what you're doing on your turn. Now, there are tons of action cards that can sway and change things on your turn as well. So that was the basics of how the game plays. Now, there's some very interesting things that happen. Once you capture the pumpkin card, you get to draw 2 action cards. And typically when you roll this pattern that the pumpkin calls for, it's 1 of each color, you just get an automatic draw of an action card. But the pumpkin allows you to grab 2. And the more action cards that you accumulate throughout the game, the more powerful your hands can be. Now, the other types of cards in the deck, other than pumpkin, that you might acquire are zombies and the haunted houses. And when you do acquire these cards, they all have special things they do as well. So for like the zombies, you're going to get 1 card from the spooky deck when you acquire the card. But the haunted house allows you to look at the bottom of the deck to see what card might be there, and only you will have that information for the time being. So those are definitely reasons to go after some of these other cards. Now, there are things called runs. So once you have 1 of these types of cards in your hand and you want to try to get 3 of them, well, you can try to go for a run. If there are multiples of the same type that are available on your turn and you already have 1 in your hand, then you can try to acquire another pumpkin. And if you get it, then you can try to get a 3rd pumpkin on the same turn. And if you do, then you have a set of 3 pumpkins, and a set of 3 pumpkins become a wild down the road that you can basically take the first dice and say, okay, this is now aqua or black or whatever color you need at the time. But the other cards do similar things as well. So a run of 3 cards for the haunted house is a scared witless card. Now, this basically mimics what you'll find in the action deck. Scared witless will force a player to play on a certain deck. So they might be going for this ghost card, but you're just like, no, you're not. I'm going to make you go for a haunted house instead. So that's pretty useful. If you have 3 of them, you can turn them into a scared witless. Now for the zombies, if you have 3 zombies, off limits is their special power, just like what's in the action deck as well. The off limits card says that, oh look, here's a ghost, but on your turn, you can't play on that ghost. So you can stop people from going there. Now there are other cards in the action deck that can still prevent this, and we'll take a look at those next. Okay, so it's important to note that once you do use a set of 3 cards, you burn that action and those cards are then discarded. All right, so let's take a look at some of these action cards now, because this really is where things can change up greatly. First, let's dive into some dice changing abilities, because You're probably wondering, this is a dice card game, how can I augment those dice rolls? And yes, you can. There are action cards that allow you to change a dice face from one to another. Now, there's also a Swamp Man, and he basically says that you can take and choose a face of a die before rolling. So this is also a very powerful dice changing card. And don't forget our friend the pumpkin. A set of 3 pumpkins becomes a wild, and basically any colored dice that you need. Now there's definitely some take that in this game, and there are ways to augment that as well. So one of the big take that's is off limits. You're going to block a ghost or whatever card you want from being played upon by your opponent. Now, your opponent can play a card that says, "Oh no you didn't," and can prevent your off-limits card. However, once again, your opponent has other options potentially, and one of the best is, "Oh yes I did," which means that card still is active and prevents you from preventing it. It's pretty crazy. Round and round you can go with each other. So these are some really fun things and some fun, interesting strategies that can keep you bouncing around and trying to get those ghosts. There are a couple other actions let's take a look at. So Wise Choices basically allows you to split the deck. You'll take the top card, move it over, and flip over the next card. Then you get to choose which of those cards to play on. Just gives you a little more variety of possibilities on what cards to win. Then there's the Undertaker. Undertaker basically allows you to grab a card from the bottom of any deck and basically capture or win that card without having to roll dice. And now there's a couple other cards that they're going to have, I believe, in the stretch goals, which is the Grim Reaper, and that one allows you just to win a card. It's just super powerful. And I think you can pull a spooky action card from somebody else. Very cool. And then there is the Gravedigger. And the Gravedigger allows you to roll for a card that's at the bottom of the deck. And if you don't win it, then it just goes back. All right, let's talk about this escape card. Really, you want to find this ghost that says Plant Escape. And once you capture the ghost, then you can take this escape card and strategically place it within the mystery deck in hopes that your opponent will grab it. And if they have to try to defeat this card, then they have to roll 2 blacks. If they don't succeed, they will lose ghosts from their hand, and those ghosts will return to the bottom of the mystery deck. So this is just another way to kind of rob your opponent of ghosts. Now you'll notice some of these cards in the sets, there's 3 in particular that say Vanish. And basically what happens here is that you can take a top card from any deck and move it to the bottom of the deck. So another way of robbing opponents of cards they might need. But of course, if you do that, then you risk losing a 3 of a kind. So as you can see, there's lots of different strategies in this game, lots of card play and different combos, different actions and how they work together. So some really interesting choices to be made. And it plays really fast. So the first person to get 7 ghosts wins the game. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview. Everything you've seen here has been in prototype form. So keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that may occur. Now, with that said, I really like the artwork. I like how quick this game plays, and it really seems good for families and just really enjoyable. Even though it's head-to-head and some take that, it really doesn't come across that way. It really is just fun, and you're like, let's play again, let's play again. It goes by so quick. So, if this looks like a game that would be of interest to you, I'm sure they would appreciate your support. I think that's it for me, and until next time, folks, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.